The topic we have for this week is to discuss, I guess we call it, how to navigate the workplace.
Yes.
As a black man. I mean, shit, we're all
as a black millennial.
A black millennial,
like
right?
that.
Because you gotta add the millennial part to it, because in addition to being black, you're young, right? And so, I think the way we can start this topic off is everybody can go and don't say where you work, but just describe the demographics and just your office and like your daily interactions in your office. I don't know who wants to go first. I can go first if you want.
I can go first. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
So I mean, I work in a predominantly white office.
What industry are you in?
Communications, public relations. So you know, I mean, it is what it is. It doesn't mean it's anything like bad about it or anything like that. It just is what it is. Like, you know, it's mostly white people, but I mean, within my industry, it's not like a bunch of like hardcore like Republican, not to say Republican, that's the wrong word, but like hardcore racist white people or anything like that. It's just like, you know, white people who just, you know, they're just like regular chill people. Right. So, you know, just a regular office, mostly, like I said, predominantly white and mostly female, just based on my industry. Yeah. I'm in like a woman.
Yeah, I'm in
a woman dominated industry from my perspective. So yeah, a lot of women and, you know, a lot of white.
Mine is like mostly black. I'm in the government sector, public service.
And I feel like most like the government side, like especially DC
in
government.
DC. Okay, DC government. I don't have to know what agency, but DC government.
You
already covered them. But you know, like like it's mostly black. I mean, the sad part that I'm realizing is a lot of the people. I mean, not necessarily now because we have a black mayor, but a lot of people usually in the higher up positions are the white people. That's the people you see. But as far as the staff level, the people who I work around are predominantly black. But like, I'll get into this later, but like working with a team of all black people has its own like stereotypes and things that go with that. Like,
do y'all meetings all the time?
Probably not.
Jesus Christ, man.
Probably not. I mean, just going into it. I mean, like going into it, like I work both. I've worked in all white, been the only black guy. I've been like and I've worked around all black people. So it's kind of like a trade off with the all white staff. You kind of have like you're isolated a little bit.
I can't wait to get.
They don't get the whole cultural like jokes. You have a different sense of humor with certain things.
But it's also, if you work in a black office and you're young, it's kind of like one of those things where like.
I know. Player.
It's more so that like everybody in addition to them, like even though you're one of them, they see you as like, oh, you're like my son, you know what I mean? Like, or you're like they try to like it's like which is fun, but yeah, it's like, but it's also kind of thing. We'll get into that. So anyway, I work in government contracting and I do finance for that. So my office, and pretty much since I've been. Nearly every dating back to internships, it's every office I've ever been has been predominantly white. Where I've been the only black male, and I'd say if I've had like 3 internships, I had 2 like full-time jobs. 4 out of 5 it's been I've been the only black male in my office. Like so, like again, that has its own like I really don't have the experience. Like my first internship, I was when I was in high school. It was in a local county, like PG County government, and that was predominantly black. Everybody in there was black.
That's how it was me.
But like, yeah, like in the corporate world, like everybody's white, and like in black people, there's like black women, or like older black women, which is fine. And there's a lot of pros with that. But like, to black males, like especially black males my age, or even like as like mentor roles, none of that. Like it's just not even like a thing. So like. And again, we'll get into like the different pros and cons. Malik, do you want to go ahead?
I would say mine is a little different.
I was about to say, yeah, yours is probably unique.
Yeah. Alright, so mine is a little different because I get two facets of it. I work in a very customer facing industry.
Yes.
So my not only does my demographic that I work with impact me, but the demographic that I service or help or have interaction with also plays a huge role in the way I interact at work.
Right.
So, you know, recently, you know what I'm saying, like, I work with, you know, highly majority white populace, you know, or workforce. You know, not being the only black guy, but, you know what I'm saying, just being in the minority. And then I worked in, you know, all pretty much majority black, you know, community or, you know, community, because, you know, I work in the customer service facing interaction. And, you know, I've seen both sides of how they impact you know, the way, you know, subconsciously or maybe unconsciously I act, honestly. Shoot, I mean, I've kind of reflected on it in a couple of days, like, you know, recently, just how it impacts me. But yeah, that's the type of work environment I work in.
All right.
Different.
So since you got an idea of like the kind of I guess the offices, the areas we've been in contact with. What does everybody think like the pros and cons are, like, you know, in the various ways? So I can say for myself, like, in my current job, I work in a corporate office. There is very little diversity, right? I mean, like, I'm the only black person that sits in my office, meaning that my home office is the office I sit in. Like, I'm the only black person. One of our project managers is black, and sometimes he'll come and sit there.
Does he just come sit by and say, nigga, and then leave?
No, but I mean, he's
I just
cool.
want to
He's
say
cool.
he give you that head nod, the black head nod.
He's cool.
Nigga, I feel you.
cool.
I'm struggling
Trying to
to
lunch, man.
But like,
Hey, yo, bro. Hey,
but,
I think these are my white folk. You need to go find your own.
literally, like, everybody else is white. I mean, it's not even, like, it's just all white, mostly male.
white.
And, you know, it's just one of those things. So, like, in general, I'm not the person in the office that I'll come to your cube and come talk to you. And I don't build relationships in the office. Like, I mean, again,
After I got laid off, I thought that wasn't important anymore.
I
walk alone.
I feel you. I'm not
naturally
there.
introverted. Going back to like our last episode, I'm anxietal, especially at work. Like my job is a trigger for me. So most of the time I'm excited freaking out, and which is really just laser focused on my job, right? So I'm not really there to build like relationships with people per se. Right. And so it's one of those things where like in addition to like just like the racial demographic, I'm the youngest person in my office. I mean, one of the other persons on the finance team, like our accounts payable person, is like maybe a year younger than me, and yeah, it's me and him, and like one of the recruiters, but he doesn't work in my group. He's like maybe in his 30s. Everybody else is over 40. Most of them over 50, multiple kids. It's one of those things where like I don't know, like what do you talk about? Sports. Like I'll talk to people exactly. I'm a sports guy in the office. Everybody comes to me. Everybody comes to me with, oh, what do you think of this? What do you think of the Super Bowl? What do you think how the Redskins are doing? How the Nats are going to do it? Like, people come and talk to me about that. Yeah. If we're at the bathroom, whatever, washing our hands, we can talk about that. But it's just like one of those things where it's just like, and I don't know if it's like a negative per se, because like even if like again my first internship was a predominantly black office and I talked to everybody, but it was still kind of the same thing. Like we would talk, but like I see people that have like real in-depth relationships with coworkers. That's just not my style per se, and like I don't really need that per se. And it's not to say I'm not close. Like my current boss, like she's really nice. She's a white lady. She's really nice. She's really good to me. She's very motherly.
Nice, yeah.
And it's like one of those things too, where it's like it's the racial demographic, but it's also like the age demographic, and it can go one or two both ways. Right. To me, like one of the things like I suffer with sometimes is like imposter syndrome, and that's like,
what's that mean?
That's deep.
It means where like you're in a position and you don't feel like you belong in that position. You feel like you're unqualified for your position. So there's sometimes I'm sitting in meetings and like there's like people in here that are like these white guys, 50, 60 years old, and I'm telling them,
I feel you.
I'm telling them financial stuff, and it's just like, shit, what am I doing? So it's like all that,
especially when you're young too.
Exactly.
You know your job is what you do.
Yeah,
like
exactly. No, I understand,
you know,
right? Yeah, but like it's all those things
and
that like in play
based on diversity. But you know,
but like those are just some of the things that like just go through my mind every day. Like, and I just want to, what are your pros and cons? I didn't really get into pros and cons, but that's just my experience.
I guess for me, like the pros and cons of everything. Pros would just be like expanding your like views on things. I don't know views, but perspectives, and just being able to see that the world is just more than, if you like, not to like offend anybody, but like we go in PG County, like, mainly I see black people, like most places I go, like, that's what it is, and it's like, yo, yeah, I mean, like, you just end up like through working in like even though sometimes you feel like your workplace may lack diversity because they don't have enough minorities,
Right.
through working in places with others who aren't like you, you just see that the world ain't always gonna be me and a bunch of people that look like me or who even like understand my humor and stuff like that. And so I would say that it's like a positive and it's beneficial just in terms of the fact that, you know, you're gonna see other people, you're gonna learn about other cultures and things like that, or you're just gonna like see, okay, hey, even though me and this person aren't from the same background, it's like, yo, there's still similarities here where it's like, yo, everybody loves Stranger Things and things like that. You know, like there are always similarities that are going to be there. Yeah, there are always little things like that. But then sometimes, like, you know, I may sit around and see other people like having a conversation and they may be like, oh, what celebrities have you ever seen before? They may start listing off the celebrities they've seen, and I'm sitting there thinking, all right, I saw Lil Wayne in a nightclub. I've seen Wale multiple times. You know,
who's a Wale?
Things like that.
That's the thing. It's just like
Who's
those
Wale?
little conversations.
Little Wayne?
Yeah, you
Okay.
feel like, you know, you want to throw yours in there, but you like, are y'all gonna A, understand, or B, care? Like, I mean, Lil Wayne's pretty universal. So I feel like everybody knows Lil Wayne. So if you say you seen Lil Wayne in club, like, oh, that's cool. But I mean, you know, it ain't always gonna be like every celebrity that you know as like a black person, because you know, you may have seen somebody. I've seen Charlamagne before. That's cool to me. It may not be cool to them. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's like
one of those things.
not to cut you off, but just like even like, so like just to show you what kind of the person in the office I am. My headphones are in 99% of the day.
You want to
You want to know what the AirPods?
I be feeling you. I be doing that sometimes.
Like literally from the time
Especially
I
when I'm trying to get shit done.
If I really just want to do my, if I really
Don't talk to me.
Oh
Sorry.
wow, damn! Am I really that much of an asshole? Literally, my
I
headphones.
don't think that much of a
entire
jerk.
time.
I feel like it's uncommon. I feel like some people just do it. Yeah.
But like, so basically, so it's like sometimes people will come and like, it's like, oh, what are you listening to? And it's kind of hard to be like, oh, I'm listening to The Baby or Young Thug or
Mozart.
like you know,
Sympathy.
yeah, it's just stuff.
It's like one day I was sitting at work when I was at my old job. I was listening to NWA when I was sitting
Yeah.
It's like, what's up behind me? Yeah, basically. I think it was right after I saw Straight Outta Compton, so I felt the urge to listen to it.
And it's just like those cultural differences, you know. But I think there's like positive. There's definitely pros. You get to just see how other people. So for instance, like I've worked in offices before where like, you know, like everybody like in the office was making a lot of money, and they were white, so a lot of them voted for, you know, they're Trump supporters, right? And like it just learn how to navigate conversations because like one thing I've learned, they're very open about talking about politics. They don't mind talking about politics, right? They'll bring it up and then, you know, like, oh yeah, he's doing great, right? And you're just like,
Shoot, I'll be honest with you. I hate when people get the urge to tell you, oh no, I'm a Democrat, and I'm like, I don't care. Like no one, like what is this?
Or that too.
Oh,
no,
yeah,
you're right. Where they
it's
try
like,
to, they're on the other side. They try to tell you how liberal and Democratic.
Yeah,
you don't gotta
like,
do,
I'm
you
like,
don't gotta
bro,
do
like,
that, bro.
really, honestly, you don't really gotta tell me about where you live politically. Like me, you can just have a conversation. I don't care. Like
I'm just talking
like,
about football, Super Bowl Sunday. Like I thought.
I'm saying, yo, the national championship game was last night. You saw the halftime show. You saw the game?
Yeah,
I didn't because it ended at like 1, and I gotta go to bed.
But like, I don't want to know like where you stand on because it's just like those like type of political lines and all that. Like it's just.
Yeah, there are those. I've worked in kind of both of those settings. I've had a bit worked in the all white office. I worked in the all black office, but
You've had some great office experiences.
You
told me.
I say I've experienced the whole. I've worked in the office where I was the only person who was a Christian, quote unquote, and I worked in an office full of Jewish people, so that was kind of a different experience too. But like, and they were all older. I was the only young person, so it's like
Hennessy,
I did, and I felt embarrassed to say that like that. Hey, I drink Hennessy. Oh, Hennessy. Oh, we're gonna get some of this Hennessy. Oh yeah, you're getting Hennessy white. Oh, it's not in the States. Bring some of that Hennessy white back. And I felt like the
man
the
slow-mo
nigga of
saying,
the office, bro. Like I just literally felt like that. But like I felt kind of like different paths. So in all black offices, kind of some of the pros and cons. I mean, you're around like people who understand your culture, whether they're the same age or not, and like you can kind of speak their language. But in my experience, especially working in government, you have some of the stereotypical, and it's not even kind of really about race, but like you have some of the stereotypical people who are a little like lackadaisical with getting stuff done, like not really concerned about time as much, not really like kind of as like they like to chill, like to talk, like to gossip, like a lot of that stuff. And I hate to be stereotypical, but that comes up. And I've been in all white offices where like a lot of those people are driven, but at the same time they don't understand your culture of what you're going through. You don't understand your jokes, your commentary, or whatever. And like, and even in between, I've had in between too. In this job currently, like I said, like in DC government, like you have a lot of black staff, but you also have some of the more some of the other interracial people that are in positions of power. And sometimes they're the people who kind of like, hey, I'm down. Like, I understand. Like, I get black problems. Like, yeah, like I used to live. I'm from, like, I have this one guy. I'm not even gonna call him out. Yeah. He's from Louisiana. He's like, oh yeah, I like Lil Wayne, and I'm like, bro, like you don't have to do that, bro. Like you don't have to like right, like oh, I listen to the Box. Like yeah, I'm like, bro, like I get it, but like you don't have like it makes it even more awkward. So I've been through like all three different like variations of it, and I think like y'all said, meeting different people in general like opens up your world because it lets you know like, hey, the world isn't just black folk, or the world isn't just people your age. The world isn't people understand your political views or whatever. Like it's a lot of people, and if you want to move up the ladder of success, like you have to meet a lot of those different people who have different walks of life. And be open to kind of like what they're talking about and what they're saying. You don't have to believe it, but like one thing I'm learning, there's a way to kind of get like say where you're coming from without offending anybody. Like there's a way you can kind of hear where they're coming from without. So I've been a lot more open-minded lately in working in those different groups. Like, hey, they might not understand it, so maybe I should say it this way, or maybe I should address or small talk with them this way. Like so.
Jay-Z is cool with Gwyneth Paltrow. The path to success involves you sitting in multiple rooms. But just say, like the path to success takes you through multiple rooms with multiple types of people.
Yeah. So
I'm about to say, yeah.
So moving away from like the racial aspect.
Did you have something you wanted to add?
Sure, yeah.
Oh, hey, you got my man.
My man. I would say for mine is
what I had to say. I declare.
Aaron tried to omit.
I say. From my perspective is it's twofold. So I never really encountered the issue because I worked in for a long time working in a primarily black community, both from customer service, both from employees and just working. So like I really felt like at home, like at the end of the day you still gotta be professional, it's still a job. But I felt like I could really just, just be myself. Now when I worked in a different environment, dealing with different people, like I never really had an issue with like my employees or the people that I work with that were predominantly white, because I really honestly felt like no one really tried too much or tried too hard. So I really can't speak on that experience. Now what I can say from the customer side, from working with predominantly white, them motherfuckers like try it.
He's tired, bro.
Nah,
He's
tired
of this shit.
But like,
them motherfuckers, let me tell
like,
you.
you ever like
body language shit.
Yeah, like
no, I'm
tired. It's definitely some times where I just remember like just helping a customer and they say something like, yeah, like look out for a brother, and like that really rubbed me the wrong way. And like,
white person said that?
Yeah, yeah, like
come on, brother,
and say it real quick, you know what I'm saying? Or like dap me up, and I would just be like, bro, like you coding right now, like I don't do that to you, like I don't, you know what I'm saying, like. I just don't like
but
it.
I'm less offensive with my code.
Yeah, I'm a little different with my, like, we all code, but like I'm not about to sit up here and be like, hey, how the hell was Sally, sir? You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't assume I told you I was a fucking human being.
That was the Kentucky Derby when you were down there.
Like, how the hell
shake my motherfucking hand.
Yeah, how? Put it right there, partner. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, brother.
No, and that shit too. You know what I'm saying? Motherfuckers hit me now. I'm like, bro.
That's soul right there, baby.
You like Lil Wayne too?
Yeah, and I hate that shit, bro. Like, cause like I don't treat you that way, so don't treat me that way. Like I don't fucking, you know what I'm saying? Yes, sir, and you know what I'm saying? Like, don't treat me that way. Like, don't. I appreciate the gesture, but like I wish I could be in that place where, you know what I'm saying, because the customer's always right. I want to just pull somebody to the side like that and just be like, bro, like, you don't have to. No, I will beat your ass, and you don't have to do that. Like, I'm cool. Like, talk to me like a human.
Just have regular respect for somebody.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm a human. You're a human. You don't need to code with me. Like, we don't need to resonate. Let's talk about the weather.
Let's talk business.
About where you coming from. All that shit, I don't need that. So that's where I come and I think.
Well, you just tell me what you looking for. We ain't gotta have small talk.
We're doing.
What do you need?
And that's the thing. We're conducting business. So like, you doing that is like really unprofessional from your end. Yeah. And you know what I'm saying. Like I didn't like that too much. So.
That's a good. No, that was good. That was
that's
good. I really, your experience is probably just so unique. I imagine you see a lot of
like,
crazy stuff.
And then people coming from different like states, and like it took me a while to really realize how people really like move. Like how people move. Like got people coming from like Boston and stuff. I'm not saying I love people in Boston, whatever, you know what I'm saying, but these are areas that, you know what I'm saying, that, you know, aren't really exposed to black people.
And that's the thing too,
and they come
right?
to Chocolate City, you know what I'm saying, and you know what I'm saying, they come to Baltimore, they're going to DC, and they're not really exposed to it. So like honestly, sometimes I'm like a shock for them. And I get it, but like you gotta get with it, bro. You know what I mean? Like the world's changing. I'm not fucking wilding out every time I see a motherfucking, you know, like somebody that's not my race. Like it's normal. So yeah.
That's good, but you know, because I mean, again, I think sometimes the default for people is just like, oh, race is not a thing. Race is a thing. You can realize somebody is different from you. But
absolutely.
Just treat them like a regular person.
Right. The subtle shit like that pisses me off more than like the blatant shit.
Don't ever trust anybody say they don't see color.
Yeah,
that's
right. And I'm thankful. I've never had experience where anybody try to just be like, oh, hey, brother. You know, I've never had anything of that. But I do sometimes wish I was in a place where I could just relate to everybody. One of the things that stick out to me is when Nipsey Hussle was killed last year, and it's just like one of those things where like I was affected by that, and then I came and somebody asked me, Nipsey, like, what was it, rapper already died? Oh, that's, you know what I mean? Like, kind of, not that they were just like,
I feel
but like
there are multiple barriers on that.
No, I know.
That also becomes an age thing.
I know, and that's where I was going next too. I was like it's, you know, it's not their fault, but it's like, damn, that affected me, but like, you know, I was going on whatever. Now, again, like the Kobe thing, like everybody affected Kobe. Right. But like the Nipsey thing, realistically, you gotta be a black person of a certain age to really understand that. But you raise a good point though. It's not even just that. So like even in a black on black office, I feel like the age difference is a thing, because I feel like when you're 20-something years old and you're working with a lot of people in their 40s and 50s, even if they're not trying to be mean, like the way they talk to you sometimes, the way they treat you, they try to treat you like you're a kid or you're their kid. And it's like, oh, I got this. Don't worry about this. Like, oh, you bring something to their attention. Like, oh, it's a problem. Oh, don't worry about that. You're just free. You know what I mean? I know this business, da-da-da. And so it's just like one time, this is their time, like you feel like you can't bring, like, you're not on the same level to them. It's not like disrespectful, like you don't think that they're being mean, but it's just like they see you as a young person.
I'm telling you, ageism is a real thing in the freaking workforce, man. Like even like when applying,
whatever. People say you discriminate against old people. That's why
I'm just saying, like a lot of people like who like come from a generation of, you gotta put 10 years in before you're like something.
And I know it's like that in the government.
Right, government is for certain like that. I'm like, for example, right now I'm like fighting to get a raise, and like the reason like I'm not getting certain jumps is because you don't have the years of experience. But like when you're doing the work, like in the private sector, that's a little different.
That was the exact same issue I had in my last job. Like my boss was just like that. He was old school. He felt like the raises weren't based on merit as much as if you put time. All right, well you're doing this, but like you've only been here 2 years, whatever. Yeah. So you only get X amount of raises.
That's why man shouldn't drink all these beers when we be recording, man.
But anyway, point stands though. It's not beer. It's like point stands. You shouldn't get a raise unless you like earn it. It's tenure more so than your like actual output.
That is such bullshit, man.
That doesn't work for us. That's like we discussed before. That doesn't work for us. Like we understand how to navigate, like not just our workplace, but just the workforce. We know how to look and find jobs.
In general, man, like as time has progressed, things become easier to learn. Things become easier to absorb. Like we can take on things. We can look up YouTube on how to do something. We can look up whatever, how to do a certain task, and we can take it on and we can do it proficiently. So I'm like,
you can't do a pivot table. Oh, I can go on YouTube and freaking YouTube how to do a pivot table in 5 seconds. Like back 10 years ago,
they put in the work, and I understand that. Like I kind of get it from a certain perspective. If you put like your blood, sweat, and tears in something, and somebody just comes breezing along in that, you're gonna have some type of
they're fancy
under
2
the
degrees
table, under the table, like resentment for them. Like you think you're so good. Like, you think you're so good, you think you're so smart, like, hey, I put in 10 years, you gotta do the same in order to get to this position, this salary. Like, no, that's not how things work.
I get it. Millennials can be brash, we can be arrogant.
We can be,
all
of
that.
us.
But like, that shit is so real. Like, I mean, if you're doing the work of a level or whatever the grade is, grade 8, 9, 10.
That's the confusing part about the government stuff.
I mean, shit, man. If I'm doing the work, man.
There's so many built-in layers. Like, just give y'all like a hint of government. Like, you can't go like more than a grade up, like or some shit. But usually, like, probably sometimes it's a good like couple $1,000. Sometimes just one. Like, it's a dumb system. I ain't gonna complain about it.
Again, that's just one thing.
This man about to get
And I feel like in this area, no, that's real because like you're experiencing both. You're experiencing like not only you're black, but you're black and young, and like what I mean, like
you don't
got no knowledge. You don't have nothing. Young.
I mean, that's the way. Like I said, no matter if you go to a black office or a white office, you're gonna look. Oh, you're young, you're exciting, you'll do the work, but you don't understand how it really works, so you sit down, shut up, and you listen, which is fine. I got it, but once I settle in where I'm at, and I know what I'm doing, I know how to like.
And you've shown
exactly.
That you know.
I'm a dangerous mother.
I just think that like
bad boy.
Yeah, we haven't gone through the life experience, we haven't went through the work experience, but I think we have maybe a higher capacity than people that came before us. I mean, and the next generation after us going to have.
We're forced to.
Right, exactly. I'm saying, like, we're forced to ingest and get digest more information. So, but that comes in with a key component, I think, is employee development. Like, is your job as my supervisor or boss is not to teach me my job, but to enrich me, and you give me that knowledge. You have the wisdom. You've been an expert in your field. You impart that knowledge on me. I have a higher capacity. And you uplift me, and you help me, and I help you. Maybe I give a different perspective. I bring in freshness. We all both benefit from
nigga
this.
Is a leader, bro. Listen to this nigga
right That freshness is a key part, and I feel like a lot of companies need to kind of embrace that balance. Like I get, like sometimes you want to put the work in, you want to show that you're able to do a task successfully, but at the same time, you have to be open to new ideas. And a lot of times, especially with government. Like they rely heavily on that experience part.
Yep.
And so a lot of times things are kind of a cycle. You have the same things going on.
You have the same experience
for 10 years, for 15 years.
Well, we've always done it that way.
Before you see a change.
Why would you scan the email?
It takes a...
No, we fax it.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. We always fax
They
it.
still include the fax number. Like,
we
you
always
don't
send
even
a
fax
pigeon.
Like, you can literally fax shit from your phone now. Like or take a picture and send it
No,
to
you need
them.
to go to Old Bertha over there in the corner.
Right,
You
no,
need to
like-
fax
like-
that.
I was about to say, how are you faxing from your phone? Son?
At my job, like just putting together spreadsheets or just forecasts for my boss. He likes things formatted his way. He's always done it this way. So
like that too.
Like the information is fine. Like, you know how I am. So it's just there. Formats this, formats thing, put this table over here, moves over here, and that's fine. It's cool. That's like a very minor thing, but like it's just one of those things.
No, Aaron, the numbers are right, but the work is wrong.
Yeah, basically, right? basically.
It's over here, supposed to be in the top right corner.
Hell, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Basically, I just bring my.
Not how I do things.
I bring my office.
Stay late, do it again.
I bring my laptop in his office.
Bobby and Dr. Coon,
You gotta stay looking. You gotta show work.
You're right, but you're really wrong. You didn't do it
show
right.
work. I don't see any work here. It didn't count.
Oh, look at cell D. There's no formula there.
Derek, I don't see your mathematics adding up. Fuck it.
Oh, this is the pasted value. I don't see the formula. Sorry. No, doesn't work.
Partial
But
credit.
I wrote the whole thing. You didn't write the whole thing.
All right, we're at 50 minutes and we're already. I think that was a hell of a discussion though. I feel like Darren, you're very passionate.
Sorry.
All right, so we're at 51 minutes. Let's bring it for our landing. It's just been your man. Shut up, Cole. And Mason, we didn't really tie a bow on that one, but I mean, again, that was just that was just like just the workplace. You spend most of your time at work, right? And these are just
Most of your life.
most of your life. Sorry, my bad. Like
I'm about to stop thinking about it. Dear God. You said that just then it got me really sad.
it got real, right? Yeah.
I'm sorry, but yes.
Damn, between my bed and my job, dear God.
That's all your time.
We only get 2 days to ourselves, bro, and barely that. Some niggas had to work on weekends.
That is why you guys need to subscribe on Apple Music, on SoundCloud, on Spotify.
Get your load off, pause.
I was gonna say subscribe to the Pornhub, but anyway, thanks. Anyway.
Subscribe to us on all social medias, please, so we can start giving you guys just upgrading our equipment, getting better sound quality for you guys, just all the things just to make this podcast and our YouTube videos just better quality. Just for fans.
Damn, that's smooth.